Xander Zeke's voice sliced through the tension in the boardroom like a blade. "What do you mean we lost the contract?" he said, eyes locked on the head of operations across the long oak table. The room froze. Senior VPs, once confident and composed, exchanged uneasy glances. No one wanted to be the first to answer. Finally, the head of operations cleared his throat. "They said we were too slow. Delivery missed by 2 weeks. They went with a competitor." Xander leaned back, jaw clenched, the words sinking deep. He'd poured his soul into this company, birthed it from sweat, scraped knuckles, and sleepless nights. His first factory was no more than a dusty garage with 3 machines and a dream. Now, Zeke Tech boasted 8 full-scale manufacturing plants across the state, churning out high-demand consumer electronics for elite clients. Yet the foundations he'd built were showing cracks. Late shipments, rising employee turnover, whispers of quality issues. These weren't just operational hiccups. They were symptoms of something rotting from within. Xander didn't want polished reports or executive jargon anymore. He wanted unfiltered truth. 2 days later, he walked into Riverbend Factory 4. No limo, no entourage, just steel tool boots, faded jeans, and a gray hoodie. A full beard cloaked his jawline, his glasses slightly askew. He signed in under the name Illy through a staffing agency. No one batted an eye. No one saw the CEO stepping onto the line. The floor manager barked. "Grab a vest, Illy. You're on assembly. Training with Jorge. Don't slow him down." Jorge was a broad-shouldered man in his 30s, dark circles under his eyes betraying chronic exhaustion. He offered a quiet nod. "Follow me." The factory was alive with noise, machines grinding, conveyor belts snapping. Jorge taught him how to snap circuit boards together, scan them, send them down the line. The tempo was relentless. Within an hour, Xander's wrists throbbed, muscles burning. Jorge never complained. "Is it always this fast?" Xander asked over the cacophony. Jorge gave a dry, tired smile. "This is a good day." At noon, the brake bell rang. Xander reached for his water, but Jorge didn't budge. "Aren't you eating?" Jorge shook his head. "Gotta finish my quota. Miss it, we stay late. No overtime unless we hit 12 hours. Xander's stomach twisted. "They force you to stay?" Jorge glanced away. "You'll see. Later." The line sputtered. A sensor jammed. Machine 3 stalled. The floor manager stormed over, yelling at a young woman crouched beside the control panel. "Anita, that's the 3rd time this week. You break it, you stay late." Anita flinched. Her hands shook as she reset the controls. Xander noticed the glint of tears as she quickly stepped back. He leaned toward her, voice gentle. "Does he always talk to you like that?" She nodded slightly. "He says we're lucky to have jobs." The end of shift bell rang at 5, but no one moved. "Where isn't anyone leaving?" Xander asked. Jorge sighed. Didn't hit quota. We stay. Doesn't matter if the machine broke. They'll lock the doors." Disbelief settled in Xander's gut. He watched tired bodies shuffle back to their stations without protest. By 8:30, the line finally halted. Silence fell like a heavy fog. Anita stayed behind, boxing up crates, sweat streaking her temple. Xander helped her in silence. Outside, the parking lot was cloaked in darkness. He sat in his car for 10 minutes, unmoving. His hands trembled. This wasn't the company he built. This wasn't what he fought for. The next morning, he returned. No hoodie, no alias. Pressed navy blazer, clean-shaven, polished boots. At exactly 7:42 a.m., the front doors of Riverbend opened. Xander Zeke, founder, creator, heartbeat of Zeke Tech, walked in. The receptionist froze mid-sip. "Can I help you, sir?" He didn't stop. Threw faded safety posters into the operations office. Greg, the manager from the floor, lounged in a swivel chair, scrolling his phone. He looked up, confused. Xander said, "Can I?" "You can stand up," Xander said coolly. Greg rose slowly. "Mr. Zeke, I wasn't told." "Where's Anita?" Probably on line 3. Why?" Xander turned without replying. On the floor, the machines groaned back to life. Xander moved swiftly, eyes scanning. Near the back, he spotted her. Anita, carefully inspecting parts. Her eyes darted nervously at the pacing floor manager. "Anita," he said gently. She turned, puzzled. "Yes?" He paused. "I'm Xander Zeke." She froze. Did I do something wrong?" "No, but many things around you have. I'll speak with you later. For now, keep doing what you're doing." She nodded, confused. Xander pivoted toward the barking supervisor. The man, mid-40, snapped at a new hire struggling with tray stacks. "Excuse me," Xander called. The man turned, voice still edged. "Whatever you need, get in line. We're short again. I'm in charge." Xander didn't flinch. "Your name is Derek, right? Derek, you're done here." A suffocating silence swept the floor. Workers froze. Even the machines seemed to hum more quietly. "You can collect your things. We'll mail your check. Exit through the front." Derek opened his mouth, then saw something in Xander's gaze. Something resolute. Fierce. He backed down, dropped the clipboard, and walked. Xander turned to the nearest supervisor. "Who's second in command on this floor?" This was no longer just a company. It was a reckoning, and Xander Zeke had just taken back the reins. A woman near the control console stepped forward, her stance firm yet uncertain. "That would be me," she said. "Lee?" Xander nodded. "How long have you been here?" 6 years. From now on, you're in charge of this floor, effective immediately." She blinked, stunned. "Yes, sir." "Let's talk upstairs in 10. Xander made his way back to the operations office. Greg was still there, awkwardly upright, like a man who knew judgment had already been passed. "Sit," Xander said. Greg obeyed, the nerves playing on his face like static on a screen. "Greg, we're going to make this simple," Xander began. "Yesterday I spent over 12 hours on your floor. I watched you shout at your team. I saw you ignore safety issues, force people to work past their shift without compensation, and walk past a malfunctioning scanner, not once, not twice, but 3 times, without lifting a finger." Greg opened his mouth. "It's not that simple." "I know," Xander cut in, his tone steady but sharp. "It's worse. You ran that floor like a prison yard." Greg leaned forward, defensive. "We've been understaffed for months. I've done the best I could. You think I enjoy keeping people late?" "You're done," Xander said firmly. "Hand over your badge." Greg let out a bitter laugh. "You're firing me just like that?" "No," Xander said coolly. "I'm holding you accountable. If you can't see the difference, you have no business managing people." Greg scoffed, yanked off his badge, tossed it onto the desk, and walked out without another word. 10 minutes later, Lee walked into the office, wiping her hands on her jeans, eyes guarded. "Sit," Xander said. "You've got a lot to catch me up on." She sat slowly. "I wasn't expecting any of this." "Neither was I. But it's where we are. Tell me everything." Lee glanced toward the hallway, then met his eyes. "We've been short-staffed on line 3 for over a year. Last time we hired temps, they burned out within weeks. No breaks, no overtime unless they crossed 12 hours. Safety checks? Rushed. The scanner you saw? Flagged 3 times. Maintenance never showed. Why didn't you escalate it to corporate? Honestly, we stopped believing anyone up there cared. Xander nodded slowly. Her words cut deeper than any financial report ever could. I'm listening now. What do you need to run this floor right? 3 full-time hires, a functional scanner, and someone who can manage shifts without exhausting people. You'll have all 3 by today. Lee blinked. Today? Yes. I'll handle staffing and maintenance. You handle hours. No more unpaid overtime. No exceptions. She nodded, firm. I'll make it work. Xander stood. Now I want to talk to Jorge. Ah. Lee smiled faintly. He's one of the good ones. I know. He found Jorge alone in the break room, hunched over a microwaved burrito. Xander sat opposite. Jorge looked up. You're him. I thought something was off. You asked too many questions. Mammoth obvious? Jorge smiled weakly. You didn't complain once. Most new guys fold by lunch. Wanted to learn. And I did. You've been carrying that line. Jorge shrugged. Just trying to keep my job. You've done more than that. How long have you been here? 8 years. Came after the old plant closed. This place was supposed to be better. It will be, Xander promised, starting today. And I'm starting with you. You're being promoted to shift lead, effective immediately. Full benefits, bonus eligibility, and a 5% raise. Jorge froze. What? You've earned it. And I need people I can trust. Jorge nodded slowly. Okay. Finish your break. You'll need the energy. By noon, maintenance was on site fixing the scanner. HR rerouted 2 hires from Glendale and began paperwork for a 3rd. A large whiteboard was placed at the entrance, listing new policies, no forced overtime, structured shifts, upgraded safety checks. Then Xander did something no one expected. He shut the machines down. He gathered the entire floor. I've spent the last week seeing what you see, he said, and I'm not proud. That ends now. Anyone who mistreats you, disrespects you, or neglects your safety, they won't be here tomorrow. Silence, faces wary, uncertain, but listening. I didn't build this company for people to fear coming to work. I built it because I believed we could do better. That belief starts again today. No cheers, no applause. What a shift. Spines straightened, heads lifted. Lee called out, back to positions, we've got a line to run. The machines roared again, but this time, something was different. They saw him. He wasn't hiding anymore. By Thursday, Riverbend felt less like a pressure chamber. Conversations flowed, laughter returned. Even the air, though thick with machine oil, felt lighter. Xander sat across from Anita in the HR office. Her posture was more assured, though her fingers still fidgeted. I read your file, Xander said. No infractions, above average output. 1 write-up for leaving early to take your brother to the hospital. And what else did you offer to? She nodded. Greg, didn't care? It doesn't work here anymore. Anita's voice was low. He never really worked, he just waited to catch someone messing up. Xander leaned forward. I'm not here to lecture. I want to understand what you need to stay. She blinked. Stay? You're good at what you do, but that only matters if you want to stay. She hesitated. I want to, but wanting things here, it just makes you tired. Xander didn't push. I'll check in next week. In the meantime, HR is adding a rotating. We're also adding an early out option for emergencies, Xander told Anita. Use it when you need to, no questions asked. Her eyes met his with cautious appreciation. For the first time in a long time, she felt like a human being at work, not a number. As Anita exited, Lorna, HR's lead, stepped in holding a folder. Her voice was raspy from decades of speaking over clanging machinery, but her mind remained razor-sharp. Perils flagged 3 supervisors, she said without preamble. Trevor, Mia, and Harlan, all caught manipulating time logs. They changed clockouts to make it look like people left earlier than they did. Xander's expression darkened. All mid-level. All trained under Greg. Fire them today. Lorna didn't blink. Already drafting the paperwork. The rest of the floor leads? Clean? Just overwhelmed. Move Jorge to support Lee directly, Xander said. She's managing 3 lines now. He's still new. He understands people, Xander replied. That's more than I can say for most leadership here. Lorna nodded. One more thing. Security flagged something odd. A contractor tried to enter claiming a standing vending delivery order. We haven't had that contract in over a year. Xander's brow furrowed. What did he say? Thanks, Greg. He drops snacks and drinks in Greg's truck each month. Cash. Do we have footage? Already pulled. It checks out. Xander stood, energy pulsing beneath his calm. Run a full expense audit on Greg's department. I want answers. If there's more, I want it by tomorrow. The rest of the day unfolded in a series of meaningful steps. Lee had reorganized assembly into tandem teams, allowing workers to rotate every 2 hours. It wasn't a cure-all, but it helped. Repetitive motion injuries dropped. Focus improved. Maintenance replaced the faulty scanner. Immediately, output errors dropped. Bottlenecks cleared. Momentum returned. Later, Xander passed a young man kneeling beside a jammed drawer near the supply cage, working it with a flathead screwdriver. Need help? Xander asked. The man looked up, startled. No, I got it. Sorry, I didn't see you. Naser. Marcus. Inventory control. Been here 5 months. Temp agency said maybe full-time, but nothing yet. You like the work? Marcus shrugged. It fits. I studied logistics, but I've mostly been told to stay out of the way. Xander eyed the broken drawer. What happened here? Door runners are warped. Whole cage got dropped last week. I submitted a fix order, but I don't think it was logged. Who'd you give it to? He's gone. Starting tomorrow, you'll report directly to procurement. We'll replace the drawer. I want a full inventory count by next Friday. Can you handle that? Marcus blinked, stunned. Yes, sir. And check your inbox Monday. You'll find the full-time contract waiting. The screwdriver in Marcus's hand clinked against the drawer as he stood taller. Thank you. Back upstairs, the finance team presented their preliminary audit. Greg had funneled just under $50,000, 0 cents, in off-the-books payments over 18 months, carefully below thresholds that required oversight. The entries were disguised as miscellaneous services. Xander scanned the spreadsheet. He buried it. Clever. Barely, the finance lead replied. But it's all traceable. Forward everything to legal. Draft a recovery plan. As dusk approached, Xander walked the floor one last time. He noticed subtle changes. Less tension in shoulders. Fewer silent glares. There were still issues. A delay on line 6. Raw materials left unchecked near the back wall. But the current had shifted. He passed Jorge near the lockers. How's Lee holding up? She's pushing hard, but smart. People listen to her. And you? Jorge smiled. Feels good to fix problems instead of just surviving them. Homework thing, Xander said. I want you to mentor Marcus. He's green but sharp. He needs guidance. I'll pull him in next week. Outside, the parking lot was no longer crowded with weary workers waiting to be released. No one dragging feet, just people leaving, heads high, done for the day. Xander stood beside his truck, watching. Behind him, Lee emerged, wiping her hands with a rag. Still here? Old habit, he said. Used to stay late even when I didn't need to. She looked back at the plant. We've got a long road ahead. We do. But it's different now. Because of you. Jorge, the others, because people are finally being heard. She stared at her hands, then at him. We just needed someone to listen. You've got that now, he said, and more. They stood in quiet understanding. Then she turned and walked to her car. Xander watched her go, then climbed into his truck. He didn't start the engine, he just sat. Tomorrow he'd be in Glendale, then Prescott, then wherever else he needed to be, because fixing a broken system meant walking through every inch of it. Monday morning, Xander returned to Riverbend at dawn. This time not undercover, not investigating. He came to build. He carried a binder, plans for permanent change. The front office was quiet except for the whir of the coffee machine. Lorna was at her desk, flipping through personnel files. Legal cleared Greg's recovery process, she said without looking up. We'll pursue it civilly, should recover most of it. Xander placed the binder before her. Add this to the agenda. We're launching a cross-department liaison role. Internal hire. Lorna opened the binder. Her eyes flicked over the content. Conflict resolution, training, oversight. You're building a bridge. I'm making sure no one's ignored again. The role reports directly to me. You have someone in mind? Mira. Lorna raised a brow. Quiet. Keeps her head down, but sharp. She already asks the right questions. Now she'll have the authority to act. Downstairs, the shift was changing. Machines silent, but voices filled the space. Xander moved with purpose, stopping only when he saw Anita studying a new layout schematic. Got a minute? He asked. She looked up, then nodded. Sure. They stepped into the now Universe Supervisor station, the air still faintly scented with oil and coffee. Xander handed Anita a single-page offer letter. I want you to take on a new role, he said. You'll report directly to me, work across teams, flag problems before they grow into crises. Her fingers tightened slightly around the paper. I'm not a manager. Exactly, he said. You're not, and that's why you're perfect for it. You've lived the cracks in this system. You know what gets overlooked. She folded the letter neatly. What if no one listens? They will, he replied without hesitation, because this time policy backs you. She looked up, eyes sharp with hesitation and possibility. And if I say no, then I'll keep asking until you say yes? Her mouth twitched, not a full smile, but a signal of thawing skepticism. I'll think about it. Do more than think, he said, voice low. Come upstairs at noon. We'll go through onboarding. He left her with the letter and crossed the factory floor, heading toward the west corridor. Lee stood near two maintenance techs, eyes narrowed at a tablet screen. Part delay on the secondary belt, she said as he approached. I rerouted the load to line 2. We'll meet quota, but it's going to be close. Good call, Xander said. I've approved a tech transfer from Glendale. You'll have backup by Wednesday. She nodded once. We'll make it work. I also added Jorge to the plant-wide improvement team. Good. You'll lead it. Weekly meetings, task force format. Report directly to me. Lee raised an eyebrow. You're not going back to corporate? I will, he said, but I'm not disappearing. I'll be on site twice a week, rotating through every location. She passed the tablet to one of the techs and stepped aside with him. You're doing more than course correcting, she said quietly. You're rebuilding from the ground up. There's no other way, Xander replied. Top-down failed. We're not repeating it. She looked across the plant, where workers were beginning their rotations. Some of these people haven't spoken to leadership in years. You showing up, it changed something. Then I'd better be something worth watching, he said. Mid-morning, Jorge was walking line 6 with Marcus, clipboard in hand. They stopped frequently, pointing at bins that had been reorganized for accessibility. Move the scanner here, Marcus said, tapping a support post. It cuts the reach zone in half. Jorge nodded. Let's test it next shift. If it works, we'll go floor wide. Xander observed from a distance. Workers nearby watched, not with suspicion, but interest. Change wasn't theoretical anymore. It had form. It moved. Upstairs, HR held a round table with 3 new hires from Glendale. Xander stopped by briefly. Orientation will now include a walkthrough of our updated policies, he explained. We've also launched a mentorship program. You'll be paired with senior staff to help you adjust. One of the new hires, a woman in her 40s with a logistics background, raised her hand. Will that include predictable shifts? I need to plan childcare. Yes, Xander replied. Schedules are posted 2 weeks in advance. No changes unless it's a real emergency. She nodded, relieved. Xander exited and headed down to the loading dock. A delivery was underway. Darren, the dock supervisor, flagged him. 3 trucks this week with partial manifests, Darren said. Not getting full shipments. Supplier or internal? Same distributor every time. I've logged it but not sure it's going up the chain. I'll escalate, Xander said. In the meantime, log every discrepancy. Procurement will track it. Back on the floor, Anita was waiting near the supervisor's station, offer letter in hand. I'll take the role, she said, firm, but one condition. Name it. I don't want to sit in an office. If I can't see it happening, I can't speak for it. Xander smiled. Done. By early afternoon, the new assembly layout ran smoother. Workers rotated every 2 hours. Team leads tracked progress, focusing on quality over speed. Turnover slowed. Applications for full-time roles increased. HR had interviews scheduled. SAS revealed that they had 800 applicants for this role. At 4:30, Xander gathered all supervisory staff in the break room. Folding chairs were arranged in loose rows. No banners, no slides, just presence. Thank you all, he began. The last 2 weeks were a reset. But they're just the beginning. Eyes met his, some skeptical, most hopeful. You've seen how quickly things break when no one speaks up. You've also seen what happens when people are empowered to act. That's the difference between a job and a culture. Several heads nodded. I'm not asking for perfection. I'm asking for responsibility. Fix what breaks, help who struggles. If a policy's broken, bring it to me. He paused. And if anyone at any level disrespects the people who make this place run, they don't belong here. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was agreement. We'll meet monthly. We'll track more than output, and if we lose sight of what matters, I'll be back on the line. As the room emptied, Xander stayed. Jorge entered last, holding 2 extra chairs. Feels different, Jorge said. It is. You think they'll keep it going when you leave? I'm not leaving. I'm stepping back. There's a difference. Jorge nodded. I'll hold the line. I know. That evening, Xander returned to his city office. The skyline glowed through the windows. He didn't look. Instead, he signed off on a company-wide initiative, quarterly listening tours. Every level, every voice. No filters, no scripts, just truth. He closed his laptop, leaned back. Riverbend wasn't perfect, but it was healing. And this time, he would never let distance become blindness again.